The greatest fashion designer of all time is the creator of heaven and earth. When he designed and molded and made Adam and Eve in his own image. Then he covered that perfect image with the first hip hop fashion line, Layish, when he redeemed them and took the fig leaves off and covered them with the lamb himself, Layish. That fashion statement, creating man and woman, Adam and Eve, the Nubian, African, human, man and woman of color in the image of God, was God taking his victory lap over his satanic enemy, Lucifer. The war in heaven, Lucifer was kicked out, and so God created fashion and the whole culture of redemption, hip hop, the new fashion statement.
Why do you think the lifespan of urban fashion is a lot shorter when it comes to mainstream or high-end fashion? Like, academics, Jabro, like their lifespan is so much shorter than a Ferragamo or a Gucci or a Louis or...
Well, it's two reasons. It's because I think there's less work, thought, and heritage put behind some of the more urban lines that come out, and they know at a certain point that this is made to be fast food. So it's based on less of a story. When you think of polo, you automatically got the story of the sport polo. You got the story that Ralph Lauren is giving you as a family. You think about those pictures of him and his wife. You think about all the ads he puts up there, and you think about an urban line, it might just be a picture of somebody standing in front of a car. It's not as deep a story. Like the greatest story is, Christianity, the Bible. Like that's a deep story that can last, forever.
Correction, Kanye. It's not Christianity or even the written word of God, the Bible. They both have the wrong start date. That eternal fashion line that you're talking about is called Layish. It's the ITB, in the beginning lifestyle. In the beginning was the word. And the fashion that the word created was Adam and Eve. The very first high fashion models, male and female, Adam and Eve. Modeling perfection. Fashion perfection. No clothes. With the Layish ITB, in the beginning fashion line, they didn't need any clothes because they were clothed in the image of God. Male and female, perfect, perfection in the image of God. There is no fashion line that can ever top it. No, you will never ever see a more beautiful female or a finer man than Adam and Eve. Perfect image of God. And like everything else, whatever God creates, Satan creates a counterfeit, bootleg, opposite version knockoff. A bootleg knockoff that's the opposite of whatever God creates. So when the Creator had to clothe them in himself, with the Lamb, and redeem them, and then they gave up the hip-hop praise and worship of the redeemed who were saved by grace. Naturally, when the enemy created his counterfeit knockoff, it was going to be the exact opposite of the image that God created with Adam and Eve. God started with two African, Nubian, perfect human beings. Human means man and woman of color. Hugh, man, a color man, man of color. Nubians in Africa, the Garden of Eden. You know what they look like. No matter what Hollywood tell you, you know what they look like. And so, of course, whenever Satan creates his fashion, it's going to look the exact opposite of whatever image God originally created, his knockoff bootleg version.
As I was on location filming the soon-to-be-released production entitled Lepervision, I was able on 2 occasions to take a tour inside of this Freemason temple, and I went twice because this is no ordinary run-of-the-mill Freemason lodge. It's the Masonic Temple of the Scottish Rite of Freemasonry, which is the only rite of Freemasonry which confers upon its worthy initiates the highest degree of Freemasonry, which is the 33rd degree. Now, just to give you an idea of how unique this Freemason temple is, listen closely to what one of the female employees told me there as she gave me a tour.
So another unanimous act of Congress was passed that allowed Pike's remains to be exhumed, and now he is also buried behind this bust.
So by unanimous act of Congress, the revered 33rd degree Freemason Albert Pike, the author of the book Morals and Dogma, which is revered as the Bible of Freemason ideology, had his remains exhumed, meaning they were dug up, and they are now buried behind this statue of his likeness inside of this Freemason temple. Now that was just to give you an idea of how unique this Freemason temple is. Now, listen closely to what this 32nd degree Freemason told me as he gave me a tour around the temple.
Right, an ordo ad chaos, order out of chaos. An ordo ad chaos, order out of chaos.
So notice, within this shrine is a stained glass window with the words Ordo ab Chaos, which means order out of chaos. And there is pictured a very distinct link design on this stained glass window, which is directly associated with the Freemason concept of chaos.
So the face of Medusa represents chaos and a lack of knowledge. The snakes is chaotic. And then she's surrounded by depictions of the four. The face of Medusa represents chaos and a lack of knowledge. The snakes is chaotic.
So this very distinct chain link design, which is seen on the left, and the face of Medusa, which you can see pictured on the right, both of these are symbols used within Freemasonry to portray the occult concepts of chaos and a lack of knowledge. And both of these occult Freemason symbols have been compounded together to give you the logo for the very expensive celebrity-driven Versace clothing line. Whether they know it or not, the majority of the largest celebrities in our world have been turned into billboards to display these occult symbols of chaos and a lack of knowledge. And to punctuate the significance of this symbolism, their music and their movies actually glamorize chaos, vanity, and ignorance. By the way, another word for chaos is confusion, and another word for confusion is Babylon. Do you think that's a coincidence? Listen, the Bible tells us in the book of Revelation chapter 14 and verse 8, and the second angel followed, saying, Babylon is fallen, that great city, because she hath made all nations drink of the wine of the wrath of her fornication. Then in Revelation chapter 18 and verse 4, concerning this great city Babylon, God himself says, Come out of her, my people, that ye be not partakers of her sins, and that ye receive not her plagues. I'm warning you, it's time to wake up and stop following the tenets, the ideologies, the deceptions of Babylon, and to stand as one that has been made in the image of God before it's eternally too late. God is trying to deliver us from the myriad of deceptions which are blanketing our world, and the only way you can do this is if your life is hidden in the truth. And Jesus said in the book of John chapter 8 and verse 32, and ye shall know the truth, and the truth shall make you free. And as always, this is the Forerunner, and whether you like it or not, the truth is.
There you have it, the bootleg counterfeit to God's image. Here it is on the screen. Chaos and a lack of knowledge. An androgynous creature that doesn't know what identity it wants to be worshipped as. Satan don't know if he want to be worshipped as a female deity or a male deity. He don't know if he want y'all to worship him as Isis or Osiris, as Semiramis or Nimrod. He has an identity crisis, so he goes with Baphomet. Worship me as an androgynous creature. Chaos and a lack of knowledge, the direct opposite to what God did in the garden. Perfect, a male and a female. The two became one. Be fruitful and multiply. So the fashion industry is built and based on androgyny, on sexual confusion. That's why they blend in male and female, because of the god that they worship, and the false pagan god Baphomet that they worship. It's all satanic.
The truth.
A Satanist named Eliphas Levi created an idol of the devil in the form of Baphomet, the great goat god. He was worshipped by the Knights Templar and by Gnostics and Satanists, and many say even in the Illuminati systems of today. This foul Luciferian goat god Baphomet is worshipped. Notice his androgynous, that is male and female appearance, the torch of light on his head, the horns that come out of the goat's head. Notice the satanic pentagram, the two serpents coming out of the genital area, and of course the horned goat hooves. Now, it's interesting that Aleister Crowley, known as one of the most vicious and most horrible Satanists of the 20th century, was in fact a man who called himself Baphomet. And in his book, The Book of the Law, published in 1904, Aleister Crowley, the great British Satanist, who once bragged that he was the wickedest man on the planet and self-styled his own being as the Antichrist, signed in that book his name. But it wasn't Aleister Crowley. He signed the name Baphomet.
The snake that giveth knowledge, the Spirit said, to worship me take wine and strange drugs, whereof I will tell my prophet. Falling on precisely the wrong side of the Bible's account concerning the fall of man and Satan's role, this snake spirit begins the revelation by telling man that he is a god, that reality is essentially an illusion, sin a myth, and that ethically there's no greater commandment than the law of Thelema, Greek for will, as famously stated in the 40th verse of chapter 1. Do what thou wilt shall be the whole of the law. Aleister Crowley stated it this way in his infamous Book of the Law: every man and every woman is a star or a god. By declaring that each person should walk in their own light, discover and then do their true will, LaVey, Manson, and Crowley, along with Nietzsche and others, have simply been echoing the father of all lies, the one that goes back to the very dawn of human history. Then the serpent said to the woman, God knows that in the day you eat of it, your eyes will be open, and you will be like God, knowing good and evil.
So the King of Kings creates a masterpiece when he created Eve, and he called his masterpiece Mocha Eve, because she was a Nubian queen, the Nubian queen of all Africa. And not only that, not only were they dark as the darkest midnight, but she was also a strong, the most beautiful, strong female ever created, and the mother of giants, the mother of the Nephilim. Adam and Eve were giants and gave birth to giants. There wasn't no fallen angels sleeping with women, and that's a myth like Zeus. That's them cats that don't know God and don't know the word. Eve gave birth to the giants on earth. So now Satan comes with a counterfeit. Now watch his counterfeit. Here go the counterfeit. So the Creator gives us Mocha Eve in the beginning in the Garden of Eden. And then they give us Mona Lisa, who looks like a man dressed in a woman's clothes. So once again, it's back to this androgynous Baphomet character. And then this is what your fashion industry gives you as beauty. An androgynous Baphomet-like female who you can't tell if it's a little boy or a little girl. This is what fashion, this is beauty to fashion. So women, listen up, man. These individuals in the fashion industry, they are Gnostics. They worship Baphomet. They worship Satan. Satan requires temple prostitution. Male on male temple prostitution is the preferred offering in the sexual black magic ritual of Gnosticism. So women, to sons of Belial, if you look in the Word of God, they're all throughout the Word of God. Women are a liability. Women, you are in the way. Satan hates women because you are the womb of man. Man procreates and plants seed in the woman, and the woman brings forth children. He hates procreation.